What's up, everybody? Paul Hickey here with Data Driven Design and the Nashville Voice Conference. I'm here at Project Voice with QuHarrison Terry of Inevitable Human and Dan Cox of Metcon and Wealthy. Dan is a very special person to me. He is an entrepreneur and basically a smart business leader who just looks to make wise decisions as it relates to using technology to provide basically a better overall customer experience. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in a second, but Dan, what have you learned from Project Voice so far? How's it been for you?
It's been good. So, the unique thing about these voice conferences, we met like a year and a half ago at a voice conference, ironically, and it seems like it's one of those things, like from a conference standpoint, things are changing so rapidly that even since we met a year and a half ago, and even since we talked and started working on some projects 4 months ago, there's already been drastic change in the voice world. So it just seems like constantly, like while we're here, there's going to be change. And there are people like talking about the upcoming changes coming and like projecting what's going on. So I think that's one of the biggest takeaways is like it is evolving so fast that I think you have to be in it and getting to know it and get yourself familiar with it, but be ready to pivot quickly because of how quick all the platforms are changing and how quick customers are adapting to it.
So sorry, go ahead, Q.
I was going to say, so tell us, how did you get into voice and what does your company do for the people that don't know?
Yeah. So I own a bunch of nutrition lines. I started out in brick and mortar retail, and so I've evolved with kind of the way technology has evolved. And so when I owned brick and mortar stores, obviously I was focusing on driving traffic into my stores. I was unhappy with a lot of the products on the market, so I started developing my own line. So Metcon and Wealthy are two of my main lines. And with that became evolution of diving into the raw materials and the manufacturing process and what customers were looking for from a nutrient standpoint, which then ultimately led into, well, I don't need to grab customers just in a 3-4 mile radius around my stores. I need to grab the US, right? And I need to reach customers from that standpoint. So it started evolving more into, okay, beyond Facebook ads, beyond, the traditional marketing for e-commerce, what is the next evolution and how can I basically reach more customers and how can I provide more value for those customers? And voice just seemed like the next frontier, and that's really why, and I don't even feel like I've scratched the surface of it. I really have just started digging into it with Paul, and we're just starting to now, as it's changing, figure out, I think, where the brands sit into the voice component.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you think about when and how to implement things in front of your audience using voice? Kind of walk us through, like, from a business owner standpoint, how you approach that.
Honestly, like, how it came to be was I started turning on my TV and turning on and off lights with voice, right? And it's like, well, if I had one of those aha moments in my brick and mortar retail stores where I had an Office Depot in the same shopping center of one of my stores, and instead of buying office supplies from there, I would just go on Amazon. And that's one of those like aha moments where it's like, something's wrong. If I'm not shopping at the retail store next to me, why would my customers, what's driving my customers in? And so voice was the same thing. Well, I'm starting to use voice for certain things. It's convenient. I can now order things. I can do certain commands, right? And it was very limited when I first started using it. But it was more of my sense of what do I want? Well, what do I want out of products that I buy? And that's why I started going down the path of what can I provide for my customers that's so convenient that voice offers. And that's when we started diving into, okay, can we provide smoothie recipes? Can we provide free workouts? Can we offer kind of a quiz for customers to find out what products are right for them? Can we set reminders to remind them to take their products if they're targeting certain goals to make sure they're on top of it? So things like that, motivational things, there's all kinds of aspects that we can tackle. And it really started with my own interest of, this is cool, this is convenient. I think I'm going to start using this more, in my own life, so I know other people are.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, as a developer of voice apps, one thing I like about them is you talked about change. Mm-hmm. So, a good thing about it is you can use these platforms, Alexa, Google Assistant, to test some things out with a specific part of your audience, get started, and then you can adapt to the change. And another thing you said to me as we were talking offline is related to less around trying to fit voice into your brand, but have it be more assisting your brand. Give us your take on that.
So that was one of the big takeaways from here is, I think a lot of people in this space are really looking at voice as, okay, I have a website, I have an app, now I need a voice tool or app, right? And they're putting it on the same platform. Really, it's not. And so when you think about voice right now, at least right now, it's definitely assisting, and it's a less friction path to get information quickly. Right now, it seems like it's shorter information. So as an assistant, how can your brand assist your customers as a way of thinking about it, not how can I copy my website to match my voice app?
Right.
That was one of the biggest takeaways today.
So in your customer journey, where do you see the voice experience kind of living?
I see it in it from a discovery standpoint. If I can get new customers in from finding out what products would be right for them based off, kind of a voice quiz. I see it as a retention standpoint for people, as a reminder for people to take certain products. I see it as providing value of how to use the products, recipes for kind of the fitness line, and endurance line, more workout tips, preventing injury, so just adding value to the customers as well. I think there's a ton of different applications for it. It's just making it make sense so it feels right as a voice native tool for that customer and voice native content for them to use.
So would you put your personal voice into a voice app right now?
We've
or
talked about
what
this.
What would you do?
So yeah, I think that's interesting. I also think having other people's voices also makes sense. Obviously, using like the Alexa voice or the Google voice allows for more back and forth. I have a podcast, so my voice is on that, obviously. From providing content, I think, using my voice is fine. Using your own voice is a great tool, and it also breaks things up, right? So if you're using Alexa, for example, and you're asking how to make a certain recipe, and then you're also asking where the nearest hardware store is, the recipe for lasagna in the hardware store has the same voice, right?
Yeah.
So I think adding in your own voice will offer some of that sonic branding and that uniqueness to your brand or your personality.
Absolutely, great point. Well, we're trying to educate everyone on what we're learning at Project Voice, what businesses are doing, what the changes are. I'm trying to stay on top of it for you, so let us know what you think, and we'll keep it coming.
For sure. Thanks for your time, and we'll catch you in the future.